Growling usually helps.
Hi, I'm Stephanie with My Great and Spacious World, and this is Morgan with My Spiritual Life. You guys, I am so excited that Morgan is on my channel today. If you haven't checked out her channel, you should. She is so funny, but she's so much more than a YouTuber. She's my friend! And we have so much fun talking about topics just like this.
Yes!
Today, we're going to talk about all the people that you can run into when you leave Mormonism. The first type of person that you might run into when you leave is the ghost.
That's the type of people who are in the church who just completely ignore you once you leave. You just don't exist anymore. Like, literally, those kind of people where you run into them at the store and you'd be like, hey, how are you? They will just
turn around.
They don't see you. Yeah. Like, you're a ghost.
One day, you're their friend. The next day, you just don't exist.
And I think this is almost more hurtful than some of the other responses where people are like, oh, how could you do this or whatever. Yeah. This is more hurtful because it's like you don't exist anymore.
Another type is the fix-its. And this is probably the first type I ran into because my husband left first. So everyone's like, here, Stephanie, let's help you fix it.
They're like picking up the broken pieces of the shelf and they're like, it's not as bad as you think.
No, with enough love, you can force your husband to come back to church. The fix-its don't really have much to offer. They want to know what's wrong, but all the information they have is pray, read your scriptures, and don't worry about it.
Don't look at the broken shelf.
Just forget about all your problems.
Avert your eyeballs.
Yes.
I was trying to have crazy eyeballs for you.
I really appreciate that.
I mean, their intentions are good. Their hearts are in the right spot. They want to help you stay. But the suggestions they're giving you probably hurt more than they help.
And they don't see it from that perspective. Because the thing is, I remember when I was leaving it, everyone told me, just read the Book of Mormon more. Well, the problem with that is if my foundation of the Book of Mormon is cracked because I found out about the anachronisms and about Joseph Smith and certain things, then if I don't have any faith in the Book of Mormon as it is, them telling me to read it is only hurtful. Because they're being dismissive of my actual valid concerns.
And they're not willing to listen to the stuff that you've ran across. They just dismiss that as anti-Mormon, but it's not. The church has posted about it.
And I do have sympathy for them because they're doing what they were told to do.
They're doing what we did.
It's true. We were taught to be fix-its. So I have sympathy when people come at me with that attitude. And I just try not to take it personal. But especially when you first leave, it's just so painful when someone says something like that to you.
Okay, so I think we should put a disclaimer that we're not judging any of these stereotypes, especially because we did some of these things.
Most of these things.
When you're in Mormonism, you're trained to do these things, and some of these things you're doing with a good heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another person, the Decievingly Sweet people.
I love you even though you're evil.
And they've been a real hard pill for me to swallow. I will love you even though you'll have no salvation and probably be damned. Thanks. I'm so glad you made that space for me to be damned. Is that your definition of love? You don't see anything wrong with that definition.
Oh, it's so ironic because their whole thing is like, we're so loving and accepting of all people, but it's with a caveat. And the thing about unconditional love is that there can't be a caveat.
There can't be a condition. If it's unconditional. Yes. One of my favorite ones, but not favorite at the time, is the fearmonger zealots. Oh, did you have any fearmonger zealots?
Oh, yeah, where you're gonna be damned, your kids are gonna be damned, like, you're gonna be a bad mom, like, I had all of that, and it hurts really badly. Like, I'm getting to a point now where I can laugh about it, and that is nice, because I'm taking it less personal, and just, you gotta laugh at it, because it's just absurd.
Yeah, in the beginning, the fearmonger was very hard on me, because there was a point where I'm struggling, but I'm still believing.
Yes.
And so everything they say is like knives in my heart.
Right, because you're already not sure, and then they're just like, pulling apart your insecurities and actually pushing you away from the church.
Getting anxiety just thinking about what we went through. Just some of the feelings. I mean, I just thinking about it makes me anxious. Yeah. I mean, I was told that I needed to save my husband. When that didn't work, they moved into I need to save myself. Yeah. When they realized I was going off the deep end, they tried to use my kids to bribe me to stay. And that's so cruel. Like, I love my kids. And they were using my fear of my kids' future against me.
Is so painful and really manipulative. And again, it's one of those things where they think they're saving your soul and your kids' souls by pressuring you. But ironically, that pressure ends up pushing you away from the church even more because you're like, wait a second, this doesn't feel right.
No.
Because if God is really loving, then why am I not feeling loved right now?
Why am I so afraid?
Yes.
And I also, to be fair, I want to say that the people that did use this tactic on me, I think they were acting out of fear.
Oh, yes.
They weren't coming from a loving place. They were afraid, and that's why they said the things they said.
Yeah.
So I guess, note to everyone, Mormon or not, don't say things when you're afraid. And also, I should say that I was a fearmonger zealot a little tiny bit when my husband left. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? Have you thought of this? Yes. Your decision's gonna ruin everything!
I think that's really accurate, too, because most of these you could probably take back to fear. Even, like, the ghosting where you just ignore them. Yeah. It's because you don't want to address what's going on.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, too. It helps us to be more compassionate with our Mormon people that are having a hard time with this when we remember, okay, they're just really scared.
This next category is my husband's least favorite, and it's the randos. What's a rando? A rando is a random person in your ward that you never associated with that now you get the pleasure of seeing every day.
And it's those people that you may not even known their name, where like all of a sudden you get all these letters from them. I miss you at church, and you're like, girl, I don't even know where you are. Who is this person? I'm all a fan of gifts and getting gifts from neighbors. It's just funny that you all of a sudden get a lot more gifts when you're not going to church.
Yes. And we just experienced that with Christmas. We did our first Christmas outside the church. I had an episode on that. I'll link it in the comments. We got a lot of that, just the
guilt gifts.
So this one particular neighbor keeps bringing over sweets. And I'm trying not to eat sugar. I know you are too. So she doesn't even know me well enough to know that I don't like sugar. She keeps bringing these plates of cookies. Thank you. This is very difficult for me. But this will definitely fix all my problems.
One cookie for each broken shelf.
Yes. One cookie for each of Joseph Smith's wives. I'll be fat, but I'll be Mormon. I'm also interested, how long is this rando gonna stick around before they realize
you're a lost cause?
I'm a lost cause. This one doesn't really need an explanation. The Missionaries.
The actual Missionaries.
With the name tags. Coming to my house.
Have you had them come to your house since leaving?
Yes, I've had them come twice.
I think we've had them come once. Okay, twice.
Yes. And I have a little mini panic attack every time. Because I just don't know what to say to them. And there's so much pressure. We signed up twice to feed the Missionaries. And they blew us off.
When you were still Mormon.
When we were Mormon. And now that we're gone, they have all this time for us. That's awfully suspicious.
You're a priority now.
Yeah.
So you're not paying tithing.
Is that how we got busted? The next is the secret judges. It's kind of like ghosting.
Right, but they're spreading rumors.
They're not going to talk to you, but they're going to talk to everyone about you.
Yes.
And we know this is happening because people we haven't told know.
Yes, and are showing up with guilt gifts.
Yes, but they're also showing up with ideas about why we left. There's no way people can know why we left because I can't even articulate the reasons why I left yet. Like, my story is so jumbled, I don't even know how to tell it. How do they think they know that they could tell my story?
Totally.
Unless they're watching this channel. Are you guys watching my channel? Maybe that's how they know.
Give it a thumbs up.
Another group, a group that neither of us saw coming, is the other Christians.
Yes.
And you've had this a lot more than me because you have this big visible channel. So tell us about what the other Christians are like.
And this is nothing against Christianity. Like, and as much as I'm joking around and everything, like, I love people. I really want to respect people believing whatever they want to believe. You get this audience of Christians who are like, oh, good, you left Mormonism. That's so awesome. Now you can come to the real Jesus. Yes. And to me, I was kind of shocked to see so much of that attitude just because I wasn't expecting it, and it also didn't feel super sincere to me at times. I'm all for people saying, oh, this is what I believe, and if you want to hear about it or whatever, but I had a lot of people like, you need to be going to church, you need to be going to this other church, you need to be doing this, you need to be reading the Bible, you need to be doing all these things, and I'm like, this is really feeling a lot like Mormonism to me. And again, I don't want to dog on Christianity. Like, I really don't. It wasn't something I was expecting, and it's a group of people that you do run into.
Yes, it's important to know that that you might have an experience like this if you decide to leave. And it's not like we didn't consider other churches. I think both of us, at some point in our life, looked around at other options because we do like Christianity. It's like nothing against them, but it's, I mean, this is what the video's about.
And it can be overwhelming, especially when you first left. And then you have all these people like, you need to join this church.
Trying to recruit you. It's like, no, you graduated from Mormonism.
Right.
Let's recruit you.
Yes.
I did not expect this group. The sad group. You come out to a sad person. This is what happens. You say, I have a problem. And then they take your problem and they make it their problem. And their problem is so much worse than your problem. So then you're like having to take care of this person while you're having problems. You've just doubled your problems.
Yes, and it's so hard because for you, your world is falling apart. It's called a faith crisis. And yet they have kind of this attitude a lot of times, which again, I was there because my husband left before me, so I was there. They have this attitude of like, why is this happening to me? And you're just like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm dying. Yeah. But they're dying too. And it's because they think they've lost you in the next life, in the forever.
Yes.
So they're like mourning your like forever death.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're just too much of a mess to support the mess that's created by what they're going through. So it just makes your faith crisis that much harder when they're all telling you what a hard time they're having with your faith crisis.
And it makes you feel so guilty that you've made their problems.
Yeah.
I do think that family members and friends, they do need support because this is like a life-altering thing. I mean, me and you were there and we needed support.
Yeah.
But you just can't support someone when you're not in a healthy headspace.
Yeah, it's just impossible.
So they need to get support from someone else almost.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a hard thing to balance. Okay, next, a really unusual one that you might not run into but is possible is a closeted person. And I had to explain this one to you.
Yes.
A closeted person is a person that practices Mormonism but doesn't believe in it. But they stay because they don't want to be shunned. And they don't want their kids to be shunned. And they think that the only way to be an influential part of the community is
in Utah or Idaho.
Yes. Or in a big Mormon community.
Right.
Is the only way to be influential is to stay in the church. So they're not in, but they're in.
Yes.
And I had an experience like that, and they were able to be really supportive to me. Right. And they helped give me that option that I could, like, this is how you could do this. This is an option.
It is weird, and it's honestly one I don't personally understand. But I was there myself for a brief time. I was like, oh, okay, I don't think the church is true, but I could stay here and I could make it a better place if I contribute and I love people and I try to shift the culture. And then I was like, this is too hard. I can't do
I've also heard people say, like, they just focus on the good and leave the bad.
Yeah.
But so much of that bad is being taught and perpetuated. I don't know how you sit there with your mouth shut.
it's really hard when you're sitting in a sacrament meeting and they're talking all about how awesome Joseph Smith was and how he was like basically perfect. And it's hard to sit through that when you've read some of the more honest history about what happened and to not get very triggered. So that's where I don't understand how those people can exist in this framework. But I totally honor that.
But it's an option.
I think it's sad that in a lot of ways I feel like they have to, like you said, because they don't want to be shunned or they don't. And I think that's just sad.
But to each their own. The next one's Mixed Bag of Nuts.
I love that one.
Where people consistently shift through all these categories.
You never know what you're going to get. You might get them trying to fix it. You might get them fear-mongering. You might get them being deceivingly sweet.
Like your last interaction was great, and then the next time you see them, they're angry.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I just never know what to expect from you. Maybe it's them just going through the grief cycle.
I think so. I think like they're trying to hold the space for you, but then there's all that fear and they're like, oh no, but I gotta save them, and they feel an obligation to save you.
Yes.
You know, honestly, me leaving it's changed a lot in my family dynamic, but throughout this process I've had family members saying like, you know, I feel like I should be preaching to you, but I also feel like you're kind of good where you're at. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you.
How refreshing.
Right.
I wonder if we should do a video of all the crazy ex-Mormons you could run into. Yes. Because I've went through some crazy stages. And I'm sure I've got some more stages coming.
We should. Actually, I think...
just to be fair. Also, you can get the true charity people. Yes. Where their love is unconditional. Yeah. They try to not let the relationship change too much. The relationship stays authentic. Yeah. So they are the people that are giving you the support and the love and the help that you really need. That's really all you need is some love, some support. Yeah. And they're actually able to offer that to us.
I had that from one of my sisters, and I will forever be grateful for that. Because if it weren't for my sister saying, Morgan, I love you no matter what, like... that was huge for me because I was in a really dark place, like more depressed than I've ever been when I first left. So to have someone who was Mormon and to say, I love you and I don't care what you believe, that was like earth shattering for me.
Yes. And I've had some people come to me and be like, hey, I understand you're struggling with something, but I want you to know that I'm going to stand by you. I even had this really, really awesome friend who said, oh no, I hope we can still be friends. And I was like, I love you. You're the first person that was worried if I was going to leave you.
Right, because you do have that feeling of like being ostracized, and it's very much like the Mormons don't want to hang out with you. There's that list, right? Mormons hanging out with other Mormons, and then Mormons hanging out with non-Mormons, and then Mormons hanging out with ex-Mormons, like way down there. And so to have someone actually be worried that you didn't want to be friends with her is so flip-flop, and it's like very refreshing in a weird way.
It was very refreshing and made me feel secure in that relationship. Yeah. And the last category is the curious Mormons.
Why did you leave the church, Stephanie?
A person that I can divulge all the struggles I've had, all the things that I've learned that are hard for me to hold, and just tell them all of the truth. And that person, Morgan, doesn't exist. Morgan, why does this person not exist?
So there's this weird thing in the culture where it's like, not only will you not ask someone like why they left, but you won't even talk about it. It's taboo in Mormon culture to talk about why you left.
Well, and even some people that I was helping through their faith crises when I was still in, I'd be giving them love and support, and that would make them feel really safe, and they'd start sharing things with me. And I'd always stop them by being like, you realize I'm still Mormon, and that's my choice and where I need to be. I'm really uncomfortable with this, and done. Like, I'm not going to listen to it.
The end.
So I think if there was such a thing as a curious Mormon that was willing to listen to all of the concerns and questions that we have, I think they'd just become ex-Mormon.
Yeah, more often than not. And now there are those few people, like I mentioned my sister is someone who has listened to some of my concerns. Not all of them, and that's okay. So there are those people that listen, but the ones that are really open to listening are usually ones that are going to leave the church as well.
It's just so hard to hold. And I don't even blame them. If I can't hold it, how can I expect to give all of that to someone else and expect them to hold it?
Yes.
Like, oh, you love Mormonism? I think you could handle all of this. I'm not going to put someone in that position.
Yeah. Well, and it's just another reason why leaving the church is so incredibly difficult. Because not only are you confused and you're kind of going through this cognitive dissonance, but now you have all these people who used to be really close and listen to you. You can't tell them these things. Yes. They won't listen. And so then you're isolated, and that's just that much harder. So, moral of the story is just stay Mormon. Just kidding.
I don't know if my channel promotes that. What does my channel promote? I think I'll support you if you want to stay Mormon. I'll support you no matter what your choice is, because my world is great and spacious. Okay, Morgan, thank you for coming to my channel. You are so cool. Guys, she is so cool. You've got to go check out her channel. Her channel is my spiritual life. I'm going to link it in the comments. I'll try to make one of those links that you can click on. Hopefully there's a bubble popping up right now and you can click on it to go see her channel. Her videos have helped me through my faith transition. Her and her husband Jared are so funny and sincere and kind. So thank you so much for coming. Do you want to say goodbye to my great and spacious world?
Goodbye.
Bye, guys. The first type of Mormon that you might run into. Oh my gosh. She is my best friend. Oh wait, I can't say best friend.
What?
Okay.
I just got demoted on national YouTube.
Just suck it up. You're not getting demoted. You're not getting demoted. I'm gonna fix this. So much more than a fellow YouTuber. She's one of my best friends. Yay! Man, that was good. Good recovery. What's a rando? From the beginning. Okay, the next one.
What's the tone with the giggles? You can't expect me to just not laugh on demand.
Don't laugh on demand.
It's not funny.
Whatever, you can laugh. I'm just gonna keep going. That one's fun. Look, you gotta pop it. Hi, Lucas.
I swear it's like a quiet toy.
We can just keep cutting them out. Okay, this. I should cut that out. Is it recording? Because now I'm paranoid.
Yes.
This will cut out. Okay, how are we saying it? Are we saying doesn't exist or doesn't exist? Come on, help me make a decision here.
Okay, you should see.
And that type of person
doesn't exist.
Perfect. See, it was natural. I should have just let it come. I worried too much. Let's do this outro quick. Mormon. Morgan. Dang it, we didn't go fast enough. No, we're good.
Okay.
We started with the cup clinking. We ended with the cup clink.
Damn, we're good.
Dang, we're good.
Dang, we're good. What are you, Mormon?
This is a non-swearing channel.
Tune in next week on my channel where we swear a lot.
Camera's right there. This one's the camera.
Hello, I'm the camera.
Oh wait, this one's the camera. I've been wrong this whole time.